Hello, Braves country. This is Coach Ken Anderson for Hardcore Braves. I got my man Andrew Davison, and today we got the voice, or one of the voices of Braves Vision, Mr. CJ Nikowski. How you doing today, CJ?
I'm doing great, enjoying an an off day here in Southern California. And I'm definitely not the voice of Braves Vision, but part of the family for sure. We leave that to BG, the biggest voice that we have. But yeah, it's good to be with you guys, man. It's a beautiful day here in Southern California, that's for sure.
Yeah, I bet it is. It's actually turned pretty here. It's been raining the last couple of days, so it's finally starting to look nice and down here in Atlanta. I just got to give BJ a hard time. He come out of the tech swamp, so I've known Brandon
Oh
since
yeah.
he's Georgia Tech guy. He's in Wiley, so the first thing is you're a very busy man. You have loud outs, you have the Braves vision, you have a family, you have a son. We're going to talk about him later on. How is busy life going, and how's Braves vision, his whole new endeavor?
Yeah, it's been good. As far as my personal schedule, I'm kind of a glutton for punishment when it comes to work. I have a really hard time saying no. I'm working on it, trying to be better about it. But today's supposed to be an off day, as an example, and I did my radio show for 3 hours today. If there's work available, I'm almost always taking it. I'm trying to be better about it, but it is a challenge for sure. You never know when the opportunity is going to be there, so I take them when they are. Braves Vision has been fantastic. Everything is working out really well. A couple of bumps in the road, which were to be expected. It cannot be overstated how hard the people behind the scenes had to work to get this thing up and running. And a lot of people are familiar with kind of going down to the wire there on opening day and not sure where they were going to be able to watch their Braves games. And they got a lot of those deals cut at the very end, but they got it done. And it's been really good. Now, at the end of the day, when it comes to television and ratings and those kinds of things, it is really all predicated on how well the team does. No matter how good or bad the broadcast is, people will watch the team when they're doing well. And some people, of course, still stick around when a team is bad, but you're going to be at your best when the team is performing and people are watching. And so we've been very fortunate that not only did they get this thing done in record time, and they did it really well, and they put good people in charge behind the scenes, but the team is just playing so well. So that's been a nice gift for everybody that's involved, that they've gotten off to this great start, and it's reflected well, I think, on the television product also.
Yeah.
That's awesome, CJ. We appreciate all the hard work you guys at Braves Vision have been doing, and it's been been super great for the first month and a half of the season. You guys have been great. What's it been like working with BG this year? I mean, go ahead. I mean, it's amazing on screen, but what's it like working with Brandon?
Yeah, Brandon's awesome, man. This is year 3 for us. And so, and year 4 for him overall. I went in cold not knowing Brandon at all. When I took the job years ago with the Texas Rangers, I did 7 years with them. I had known my play-by-play partner before I'd ever gotten there. We had done some previous work. He is an excellent teammate. He is excellent at what he does. Every time we do a broadcast, he always makes it feel big. Even though with local, like, you want it to be relatable and you want the fans to feel like they're with you and hanging out and watching a game, there's also this aspect of what BG brings to the table that makes the moments feel big, which is nice. Right from the open. Like, every time we do the open and we do what we call the scene set, right? Maybe you see the stadium or you see a scenic of the town that we're playing in before they pan into the stadium and then eventually come to us. It always feels big. It gets me excited for each and every game. But he is a tremendous partner. I think in this industry, especially when you're doing local baseball and you're doing as many games as you do, you really hope that you can build a relationship that is more than just a professional relationship with the people that you work with. That is the case for BG and I and Wiley and everybody involved. Again, we just have really good people. It's been a theme here with the Braves, just in general, that they don't bring bad people into their inner circle. It has been a huge blessing in my life and living in Atlanta now for more than 20 years to be able to work here. But to be able to do it with him in particular, it's worked out really well. I could not ask for a better partner or a better situation.
Yeah, I think it's kind of good with BJ too, because I've known him for a while, loved him. I think it's kind of fun. The nation is getting to see him now because he's doing so many national broadcasts. Just a little side note before I ask you about the Atlanta Braves team. He's not getting the big head, is he, CJ? When I go see him around the stadium, he's still going to be simple BG.
He is such a good human being. And I think a lot of that always goes back to the way that you were raised, and his parents are tremendous as well. He's just a good man, and that makes it really easy, and it does keep us humble. It's funny you say that, because I do think about that every once in a while for all of us involved, because it also helps a lot when it comes to the relationships, that nobody has an ego in this thing. And these fans, this Braves country, they're so kind to us, and say such nice things that sometimes it's almost overwhelming. Like, I know we're not great all the time, and I know not everybody loves us. That's That's just kind of the nature of the business. But we do get so many nice compliments from people. And as we make our way around the country, there were so many Braves fans that were in Colorado. Same thing in Seattle. And I might walk out to grab a bite to eat or something, and someone stops you, and they're all just very kind and very nice. And you gotta keep your ego in check. You got to be careful, right? People keep saying nice things about you, and eventually you're going to start to believe them. And so you got to be careful about that part. But we are overly appreciative. But no, I really do think everybody here is really well grounded. I will say, just for me personally, and anybody that's worked in this business, they understand that there's a lot of turnover, and all it takes is one slip or one person in charge not liking you, and they move on to the next person, right? It's a very subjective business. But my background in particular, even though I got to play for a long time, there was a lot of failure. There was a lot of moving around over my 19 years as a pitcher. And so when you get something that has been as stable as this has been for me, you really do appreciate it. But then you also understand, because it's kind of the way that I was built throughout most of my professional career, that you could lose it at any moment. And so you don't get too far ahead of yourself. You don't taste yourself too much. I got a wonderful wife who keeps me grounded as well, which I think is important. And so I do think there's something to the background of how you've gotten there that helps a little bit, maybe with any concerns about potential ego. And I just don't see it. I just don't see it with our group ever happening or ever being a problem. Because even though BG's doing all these amazing national things now, and he crushed it in basketball, and I'm so happy for him that he's gotten those moments, and others that he's gotten nationally, he's just a tremendous play-by-play man. I'm not worried about it. I think everyone will stay grounded. And you get to that point, it's almost like a locker room, where when you spend enough time and you've been around each other, that even if someone were to get a little ahead of themselves, we're going to keep each other in check. I think that's it's important to the relationship as well.
I do too, and I like how the Braves try to bring as many former players on around the team. They've always done that, and the alumni, as a 38-year season ticket holder, having what Greg McMichael does with the alumni is tremendous. I think the Braves are a family. I think that's the reason why their fans feel that, and that's the reason why they're so caring about it. Speaking of
and
the
why
Braves,
so many? Not to interrupt you real quick, but that's why a lot of guys end up staying here, right? Like when I played for the Braves, I lived in Texas at the time. And you come here, and I played here half a season. I understand it wasn't any kind of impactful run, but it was a great experience in my life and my career. We loved it here so much that we knew we wanted to be here full time and make it our permanent home. And then you mentioned Greg McMichael, and the Braves have probably the best alumni association in the game. The Cardinals also do a really nice job. Played for 8 different major league teams. Again, I barely played here with the Braves, but they always keep you included and make you feel like you're part of the group. They put an emphasis on that. They understand from the fan standpoint how important that is, and they're great at it.
Yeah, it's tremendous. I think that's the best thing. They send out surveys always about what's the favorite thing about being a season ticket holder. I just think the environment in general. So, but let's talk about the 26 Braves. We were not surprised on Hardcore Braves. We stepped out, and on social media, we got hammered in February when I said I kind of like this ball team. And then CJ, you kind of backed it up, and you kind of said, I kind of like this ball team. We'll see how they go, and the injuries prepare. But Braves vision comes in. You couldn't ask for a better start. 26 Braves. So what do you think about this team? Kind of what's its ceiling? How far can this team really go?
Yeah, we're grateful, again, for the start that they have gotten off to. At the end of the day, I do want people to know that we're also fans, right? And there's times where we have the same reactions that fans have. Some of those have to stay muted and stay on the inside, right? Because, of course, we work for the team, but we ride that same emotional roller coaster. So kind of going back to what you were talking about at the beginning of the year, when the injuries started piling up on the starting pitching side, I was like, man, they're gonna sign somebody, right? They're going to go out, they're going to get Lucas Giolito or Chris Bassett, any of these starters, Patrick Corbin, that could be just somebody to be able to help out, because it looked like everything had gotten really thin. And especially after the bad news regarding Jurickson Profar, you're like, well, they probably have some money freed up, or they're going to get somebody, right? And I had those same feelings. I didn't express them necessarily vocally, but I was hoping, like everybody else was, that there was going to be some adjustments made because of these devastating injuries that were happening, especially at the very end there with Spencer Strider in late March. You're like, man, how is this team going to find a way to compete? Everybody was worried about the starting rotation. I think that's a fair assessment. And these guys deserve so much credit for what they have done up to this point. Probably nobody more so than Bryce Elder. And when you sit there and really dig in, and the work that he has done, the way he has changed his repertoire, how great he has thrown, Everyone else, obviously, with Chris Sale at the very top, you look at this and it's something to feed off of. The recognition of bringing in Martin Perez and seeing him as a valuable piece and what he has done in the rotation, right? It might seem like a little thing because he's not a big-time arm, but he's pitched really well. That has been excellent, right? So the pitching side, the starting rotation has been much better than expected just because of the injuries. Guys have really stepped up and done a nice job. And the Braves also do a pretty incredible job of working this puzzle and figuring it out, right? We're going through it right now where, J.R. Ritchie has now gotten an opportunity. Grant Holmes ended up not starting yesterday in Seattle because they wanted Martin Perez, the lefty, going against the Mariners. Now Grant Holmes is not scheduled to pitch here against the Dodgers. He could help out in relief. He could end up making a start Tuesday when we get back home, right? They're always trying to put these puzzle pieces together to get the most out of the rotation, and they've done a really good job of that over the years. It could be about getting Chris Sale some extra rest or Spencer Strider some extra rest. So starting pitching has been really good. The bullpen was good on paper. The bullpen has been great in real time. The Robert Suarez signing was the best thing they could have ever done this winter and the impact that has had on this team. They're doing a really nice job. The bullpen is in a good spot. No issues there at all for me. The lineup has been also probably better than expected. I think we all believe Drake Baldwin was a good player based on what we saw last year. He's better this year. And what's been really nice is that he's in there against left-handed pitching, and he is responding in a huge way. Ozzie. Right, putting Ozzie in the 3-hole on opening day was an eye-opener, I think, for a lot of us, myself included. Right, I don't say anything, but on the inside, I'm like, man, Ozzie's batting third? He struggled against lefties last year. Well, Walt had a really good reason behind that. He felt like he did not get enough at-bats against lefties in spring training, and then early in the season, it just kind of affected him the entire year. Of course, he had the wrist issue as well. He's been incredible. Like, what he's done against lefties is back to old Ozzie. That's been big. Matt Olson is on a heater. We're going to be talking about him as MVP toward the end of the season, right? It's been that good of a year. And I think the encouraging part of this is you feel like things should actually get better, right? Ha-Seong Kim's going to come back at some point. Mike Yastrzemski's going to get going at some point. Austin Riley, we start to see a little bit of it. He's going to get better. He's not going to be like this the entire year. He's too good of a player. There's been some adjustments made. I think he'll work his way out of it, and he's going to be impactful in a really big way, the way that we expect by the time it's all said and done. We're going to talk about a run that he's gone on at some point. I don't know when it's going to happen, but we're going to talk about this 3 or 4 week run where Austin Riley's been going off, and everybody can probably calm down a little bit. Mauricio Dubon has been great, right? So the lineup has been really good, but I also stand encouraged thinking it could get better. And we're going to get Ronald back at some point. We haven't seen the full best version of Ronald Acuna Jr. just yet. So there's a lot to like about this team. And it's not just because I'm here and I'm pulling for it and I work for them. I would have said the same thing if I wasn't, and just, talking about this team on my radio show. They're a real problem for everybody else in the league. And it's been very helpful that the Phillies and the Mets have been terrible. I know the Phillies are getting it turned around, but you have this monster lead right now. It's early, but you have this monster lead, which now builds you a cushion for when you do have a rough go of it. It's inevitable. You're not going to go wire to wire to dominate the season. And when the time comes when the Braves have a little bit of a lull, hopefully they have this lead still intact and it won't be nearly as noticeable.
Absolutely. And I think that gives lots of kudos to Alex Anthopoulos, what he did this offseason. He didn't panic. And then when Strellenbach and Waldrop and Strider got hurt, like you said, he didn't go get Giolito or Littell or Bassett or anything. He knew what he had. And I think what Ken and I have discussed even in the later part of the offseason was I think he believes in the kids and Didier Fuentes and J.R. Ritchie and some of the other guys that are still down there at AAA. But going back off of Alex Anthopoulos, I mean, how have you thought that how Walt Weiss has done and how he's doing and how he's handled this team so far?
Yeah, so Walt's been great. I was concerned that they weren't going to hire Walt. I've known Walt for a while. You've probably heard me say it a bunch on my broadcast. We were from the same small town and outside of New York City in the suburbs there. And Walt Weiss was always a hero in Suffern, New York, where I grew up. A little bit older than me. He was off and running with his professional career by the time, I was old enough. But, he was the name. And I got to meet him when I was playing and had a fun conversation with him all the way back 1996 in the offseason. We were at Player Association meetings. And when I really got to talk to him and we were kind of talking about our hometown, he goes, I used to deliver newspapers on your street when I was a kid, which I thought was kind of a really cool kind of tie-in. And now here we are and getting this chance to kind of work together. Walt Weiss is highly underrated as a manager, and I'm glad that the Braves were able to see that all these years of him being a bench coach and what he meant, and the fact that they did decide to hire him, and it seemed like a seamless transition, right? You have a bulk of this team that is already here. There's a handful of new guys, but a bulk of this team that is already here. The relationships are built, and the relationships with your manager probably are now more important than ever, right? It wasn't always like that. It wasn't like that when Walt broke in the game. It wasn't like that when I broke in the game, right? I had Davey Johnson and Sparky Anderson, my first two managers in baseball, my first first full year. And they were great, but they didn't care about my feelings, right? It's different. Things have changed, and that's okay. This is where we are now these days. And so Walt knows these guys, but it's not just, kissing button, making guys feel good about themselves. I get the impression he knows how to push buttons when the time is right. Not going to overdo it in today's game because you can't. It doesn't work anymore. But when accountability matters and needs to happen, it's going to happen in that Braves clubhouse. Not going to happen in the dugout. You're not going to see it. We're not going to see it. I'm not going to know about it, but we know that Walt's going to take care of it. This team, they've said it enough times, they'll run through a wall for him because they know, first of all, he's very serious about winning. There's zero ego in it, and he knows how to win. He's been around a lot of winning over the course of his career. So he has been awesome. The thing I've really admired about him that has stuck out, the toughest part of being a manager, in my opinion, is running a bullpen and making decisions on when you're going to get guys in and out of the game. And he has been very absolute about when he wants to make decisions. Doesn't wait around very often. I know there was maybe some struggles for some folks when they saw that J.R. Ritchie game up in Seattle and felt like, oh, should he have come out? I would tell you that if the bullpen was in a better situation that day, he would have come out. Walt was hoping that he could get a couple of outs from him because the bullpen was thin that night. There's no two ways about it. And Walt is thinking about the long term here. This team expects to win games late in October, and they're going to need their bullpen to do it. And you can't crush through them right now. And so a couple of guys were down. He was a little bit thin, and so he took a chance, and he went a little bit longer with a starter than we otherwise have seen from him this year. Generally, he's going to be very aggressive and get a guy out of the game and go to a fresh arm in the bullpen. He's done a really nice job running the bullpen. Obviously, Jeremy Hefner is there helping him out as well. This coaching staff has been really good based on the results we're getting, but just some of the individual performances tell you that the coaching has been good. But it's been a pleasure. He's so good with us. He's great to talk with. He is such a relatable guy, but yet he is this kind of baseball genius that I think you would never think about, and I don't think people realize that about him. But the number one thing in today's game that matters the most he has, which is he wants to win, he wants what's best for you, and he wants what's best from the team, and he's still going to hold you accountable when it matters.
Yeah, we do a game after each game, and I went to do the out, and everybody was questioning, and I said, well, we all had the same question, why did JR go in the sixth? And then Walt, right in the press conference, said, this is why we had to do it. And you kind of go, as a baseball guy, you go, okay, that makes sense to me. Yeah. And that's what I've been impressed by with Walt is whenever you kind of say whatever, he's really quick to say, this is why we do it. And I think the team feeds off that, doesn't you, CJ? Like, they know where they stand everywhere. Yeah. So when things happen, like Dom Smith has to go to the bench because Michael has to DH, I don't think there's any kind of pouting. It's like, I understand this is for the team, and we do it, don't you?
I do, and there's also a level of empathy that he does a really nice job of relating. Like, he's talked to us about Kyle Farmer. He really likes Kyle Farmer. And he may say Kyle Farmer is probably the last guy in this rotation right now, but he's got a great appreciation for the player that he is, the way he carries himself, where he is in the clubhouse. So there's been some ancillary benefits to having Kyle Farmer on this team. And he said at times, like, man, I'd like to get him in there. I'm having a hard time getting him in there, but we want to because he's been a really good pinch hitter over the course of his career, if you look at that, which I know there hasn't been a lot of opportunities, but it matters. But the point there for me is that he understands 1 through 26 how important every single person is on this roster. Bobby Cox was the same way. Right? When I was here in 2004, I was probably one of the last guys on the team if you're going to rank the most important guys on the club. Bobby never made you feel that way. Right? If you were number 1 or number 25, back then we had 25-man rosters, he treated everyone with the equal importance of how much they meant to that team. Walt does that as well. When you do that, then you get the respect of your players, and they understand that when you treat everybody the same. It's really important that you don't ignore the guys that are at the bottom. You don't ignore the guys that are going through a really tough time. Dom Smith is a great example. He knows that, right? When Michael had to DH, Dom Smith was losing some valuable at-bats after he's meant so much to this team. It's a really tough spot to be in. So you try to get him a pinch hit at bat when you can here and there. Now that Michael's back playing left field, and I suspect maybe we'll see him in center at some point pretty soon, that does allow Dom Smith to then slide in there and be your DH against right-handed pitchers again. But that matters too. Like obviously he's done it. He's lived it. He understands what it's like from every end. He knows what it's like to be really good. He knows what it's like to struggle. He knows what it's like to be on the bench, to win, to lose, all of those things. And those personal experiences help him relate to these guys so much more. And they know that he cares about them. He cares about the team. That's the most important thing first. But he'll always care about them, and he'll have an answer for everything you're looking for.
I agree. So, real quick, everybody wants to know. I ask them, our fans, what they want to know what your favorite stadium is and what's your favorite food on the road. We're going to the monstrosities at Dodger Stadium. If anybody's ever been there, it's one of the loudest stadiums because they jack the music up so loud. But I can't believe that's your favorite stadium. So, what is your favorite stadium and favorite place to eat on the road?
Yeah. Definitely is not, even though it's a good atmosphere in LA, you're right. It's too loud. You can't even hear yourself think, like in between commercials and stuff. It's annoyingly loud. I don't mean to sound like that old man, but it is. It's funny when you get that question, there's a lot of different ways to look at it. And that is like, what do you like best about a stadium? Now, clearly, as a player, it's a lot different, right? How's the mound? How's the bullpen? Whatever it may be. When it comes to broadcasting, there's atmosphere, which is great in some places, but maybe your booth isn't great. And then there's places where the booth is great, but it's kind of dead, right? Like I will tell you that a lot of people don't like the Trop in Tampa. I love the booth there. You're right on top of the field. It's nice. You got to be heads up because foul ball's coming there with some fire behind them. I would say Baltimore has one of the better booths. Again, just from the broadcasting standpoint, I would say that Baltimore and San Francisco are probably some of the top two. And then when we go on the road, like a place like Pittsburgh is beautiful, but you're super high and it's not a great view. And the late, great John Sterling had an unbelievable line about PNC Park that he always said. He said, when you're up in the booth, you get an absolutely beautiful view, not of the game, but of the city of Pittsburgh and everything, because that's what you can see from up there. You can't see the game great, but it is gorgeous when you're up there. It's picturesque. Broadcasters always take a picture and probably post it on social media when they're up there. But I'd put those two at the top, on top of my head as far as like non-Braves places. Non-Truist is probably San Francisco. The booth is just so cozy. It's just comfortable. There's something about it, and that's a fun one. Most of them are really good. Seattle was great. We were just in Seattle. It's a fun place to call a ball game. It's loud there, even though they're not sold out. You almost wonder if they're pumping crowd noise in through the PA because it can get a little bit loud there. But most of them are really, really good.
Awesome. Yeah. I was at that San Francisco series last year, traveling and to the series, and I got that feeling just being as a fan at Oracle Park in San Francisco, being a great park. Sticking out with California, how do you think our Braves fare up against the Dodgers this weekend?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, right? I mean, pitching matchup-wise, you love when Chris Sale is leading off the series and you feel good about that matchup. Emmett Sheehan has struggled here a little bit. Saturday with Strider, a lot of eyeballs will be on Spencer Strider after that first one in Colorado. The command is going to be really important. We'll definitely see some of the vertical break back on his fastball. I know we talk about it a lot. Colorado takes a pretty good chunk of that away, and it's an important part of his game. Command of the curveball and slider will be really important. The Braves need him. There's no two ways about it. He knows that, and we don't want to put any extra pressure on him because he puts enough on himself. But that'll be an interesting one. That'll be an important game. But the matchup that we have on Sunday is a highly underrated, really great pitching matchup. We know how good Bryce Elder has been. I'm not sure the rest of the league has taken notice yet. They'll get to see him against the Dodgers. And then Justin Robleski, outside of Shohei Ohtani, you could argue has been the best starter for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and that's the one lefty that we'll see in this as well. So we got really good pitching matchup. Surprisingly, the Dodgers offense has been down. I know they won against the Astros their last game 12-2. Andy Pages may be their best hitter this year. And when you think about the names on that roster, it's almost hard to believe. He had 3 home runs in that game, but you look at his OPS, it's the best of the group. So it's one of those things where no Mookie Betts right now where he's on the IL. Freddie, Kyle Tucker, Shohei Ohtani, they've been good, but they haven't been the best versions of themselves. I'm hoping our pitching now holds that off for a little bit longer. This is obviously a really good team. But, the Braves, they got a chance. I mean, setting the tone game one will be really important, and Chris Sale's very good at that and has been since he's been a Brave and really throughout his career. And, he loves the big moments. And so to get that first one, I think will be important, hopefully to start a new streak of winning series. Obviously, the Braves lost the one against the Mariners, and so it's the first series they lost this year. But it's already been a great road trip, right? It's a 4-2 road trip. You'd love to take 2 from the Dodgers. I think there's a real possibility. I think when the pitching matchups are good, like we talked about in Seattle, it always comes down to those 1 or 2 moments, right, that end up making the difference. And it feels like this could be that type of series. I don't necessarily see any blowouts happening, and hopefully that'll end up being the case, of course, unless it's on the Braves' end. But the little things is where they have been pretty solid. I know the Mateo pickoff the other day was not a great one. Martin Perez, one pitch that gets away from him ends up making a pretty big difference against the Mariners. But that's what we talk about. It almost seems unfair, but over the course of a game, we're going to be talking about potentially here 1 or 2 plays that end up making a big difference. But as good as the Dodgers are, they're not the best version of the Dodgers, and we're not going to see Shohei Ohtani on the mound or Yamamoto. So I look at that as some pretty good news, and Sasaki hasn't been great. So I think there's going to be some opportunity to put up some runs against the Dodgers pitching.
Yeah, we think so too. We'll do our preview in a little bit, but we think they can take 2 out of 3. Let's get you out on this, CJ. Got to talk about my boy Luke. He's going to the greatest university in the country, the Georgia Institute of Technology. I'm an alumni. I'm excited to see Luke go compete there. How did that process come down, and how did he end up picking Tech? And How do you think about him just playing in Atlanta, where you can probably go see him play some as your broadcaster?
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up and appreciate the kind words. We're really excited for him. You know, college baseball is more cutthroat than it ever has been. But he had his heart set on a couple of schools, and I don't. The recruiting process has changed in baseball. I think it's for the good, right? You can't talk to players now until August 1st, going into their junior year. Which I think is a good thing, right? You see, at one point saw kids committing in 8th and 9th grade, which just seemed nuts, right? You're still in your development. So I think it's been better. So when August 1st came around, and it's really hard, I think, for freshmen these days, especially potential freshmen, especially position players. Position players, like, to go to a Power 4 school. I keep telling people, you got to be a man-child these days, right? It's hard to break a roster with the transfer portal, with the game getting a little bit older at the college level. But the pitchers have a chance if you have an arm. And Luke loves baseball, and he has an arm. But Tech was on his list, his short list of fingers crossed. I hope I get a phone call from Tech, and he did. He got a text from Matt Taylor about 5 minutes after midnight that he was very, very excited about, and didn't want to let it go by. And he knew that that's where he wanted to go, and he appreciates the academic side as well. Clearly, Georgia Tech is having one of their best years in their school's history, which has been kind of this added bonus about how good this team is right now. And so the bar has been raised. I'm excited for him. He's a hard worker who loves baseball. To have him close is going to be great. But he also knows, like, this is only step one, right? He knows how difficult this is. It's hard to go and be a freshman and help a team out. And there's more pressure to do that now because the rosters are down to 34, right? That's the other part of this wrinkle in college baseball. So I am probably more nervous than he is, and doing all the prep work and doing everything we can to make sure that he's ready to hopefully help out right away, and then to be able to stay there. He knows, like, again, just because you have the offer and you're there, it is a constant battle for your spot, which is a lot of pressure for young kids. I almost feel bad for him in that sense, but he wanted to try to do it at the biggest school he possibly could, and for him, Tech was one of those schools. So the fact that they wanted him, it's worked out great. We're thrilled. We're thrilled that we'll get to be close and to monitor him. And I think for him, he's a very humble kid. And with me having this job here with the Atlanta Braves, it's led to a little bit more attention on him. Even when I first got it, they wanted to come out to one of his high school games, and they wanted to watch him hit with me in the backyard. And he really didn't want to do that stuff. Some kids would jump at the chance to be in front of a camera, but he just wants to go about his business and be successful at what he loves. And I think even now with him going to Tech and me being a Braves broadcaster, like, there's some cool aspects of that for him, but he still wants to be his own man and his own thing, and any attention that is paid to that he wants to earn on his own. And I respect that about him. So we try to lay low when we can, but I also told him there's people that are going to be a little bit more interested, and take it for what it's worth, right? But just ultimately go do your thing. So we're very excited about all of it. A lot of work to be done. And we all just feel really blessed that's where he got the opportunity to start his college career.
I'm excited to watch him play, and I had a friend of mine that saw him pitch this spring, and he said he's really got some good stuff. So I'm excited to watch him compete. CJ,
He's a bragger, man. Real
Yeah,
quick,
sir.
I'll tell you a funny story about him real quick. So I told him, I said, listen, I was not a hard thrower in high school at all. I said, I didn't break 80 miles an hour until after I left high school. And again, this is just more like fun banter between us. I remember telling him this in like 7th or 8th grade, right? Because these kids are so velocity obsessed. And he's like, Dad, I'm going to hit 80 before I get to high school, which he did, right? So he wants to, and I joke around, but just being like a little punk with him. I said, I didn't, as his high school's going on, I said, I didn't hit 90 miles an hour until my sophomore year in college. He's like, I'm going to hit 90 by my sophomore year in high school, which he did, right? He kept kind of like wanting to up me the entire way. And while the velocity stuff is exciting, and I've seen him touch 93, 94, and he's still pretty skinny, and I get worried about that kind of stuff with the velocity, I try to get him off that idea too. Right, the idea of like, and he's a good pitcher. He's a competitor. He's a much better athlete than I was. He is right-handed. That's the only thing that he didn't get from me as a lefty. But his mom is a much better athlete than I was. She was a softball player, still a tennis player, and all that kind of stuff. And luckily, he got her athleticism. But he's good, man. And I'm not one that necessarily likes to brag on my kids. We have a tendency to go the other way. But he is a good athlete. He's a competitor. He has a feel and how to pitch. And again, we're just hoping that we can get him ready to be able to help out Tech in some form or fashion as a freshman.
Yeah, and I know how it feels because the hardest job I had in my 24 years of coaching is when my son come through, and Butch Thompson went to the Chattanooga paper and said, I think he's one of the best arms in the country. And my son walked in there and I said, yeah, I mean, I know it feels good, but you try to humble
Yeah.
them. I know what you're saying, CJ. Well, we
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on. It means a lot. We love you and Brandon and all y'all doing on Braves Vision, and y'all get us a win in Dodger series, and we'll see you when you get back home against the Cubs.
We'll try to
Thank you.
get you at least 2, but I appreciate it. It's great to spend some time with you guys.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks, CJ.
That was CJ Nikowski, and he brought a lot of good stuff to us, Drew. I mean, he talked about a lot of good stuff, and he seems like he's pretty excited about the Braves.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, thank you to CJ for jumping up on here on Hardcore Braves. But really getting extra little pumped now this weekend for the big Dodgers series. Having a grand old time out there for the 2026 Braves out there in LA this year. This series, what you think, Ken?
I do too. We owe them a series where we go out there and take one. We've really struggled out there. To CJ's point, we have some really good pitching matchups in our favor. We have Sale on Friday. He's going against Emmett Sheehan. He's one of their young pitchers. We talked about it in Braves Hip Call with Ryan. That's coming out as we speak. And the fact of the matter is, we should be able to hit him. So that's a favorable matchup. We go to Sunday. That's Bryce Elder. He's right. Justin Roleski is really good for them. But he doesn't have an overpowering fastball, so hopefully we can get that game. And then Saturday's game is Sasaki against Strider. You're talking about 2 pitchers that both organizations need them to pitch well, and they're counting on a lot. So Saturday night, a lot of eyeballs on Los Angeles. Overall, what do you think about the pitching matchups, Andrew?
I certainly think the pitching matchups favor the Atlanta Braves here. At least two out of the 3 games. Certainly on Friday night, I think, as we've discussed in the past, and with CJ Sale going out there, game 1. This is what he lives for. This is what your ace type of game comes up with. Game 1 of a big time series, especially on the weekend. We know how Bryce Elder's been this year, and then like you said, the big eyes on Saturday night with Strider. How can he bounce back at a different environment that's not Colorado? Still facing a much, much, much better talented roster and offense that's got a lot of firepower. But like as CJ said, Tucker, Freddie, Shohei haven't been kind of what they're used to being. And then Mookie Betts is out, but like CJ also said, Andy Pages is the guy to look out for. He's been their best player offensively this year. Got to keep him off the bags. And making sure Strider can command the fastball this time out. I know he struggled Sunday in his debut in Colorado, but that's a tough environment. So maybe hopefully he comes out in LA a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more ready to go, and maybe he has Sean Murphy out back there. I know he throws well with Sean back behind the dish, and they connect real easily and real ready to go Saturday night.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the pitching matchups, favor us. We were talking on the Braves Hip Call and also the series recap with the Mariners. Hassan Kim, there's a possibility he may show up in LA Friday night. We don't know that, but he's looked like he may be ready. I'm sure Dylan Dodd may actually show up. Is there any hope in your eyes that both of them do come out west and show up for this series?
Yeah, I mean that would be the hope. I mean we're kind of scrambling out there with Kim in the situation in the outfield, and now Mateo being a little banged up. I think they're really looking forward to getting Dubon in right field or maybe Yaz in right field while Ronald's out, and they're ready to get Kim at shortstop to where it kind of has more balances out the depth, and then obviously getting Harris back in center field. That's nothing against Jim Jarvis, but that's just we're heading into a big weekend series. We want to be all ready to go with all 26 guys. And then in terms of Dylan Dodd, I think he's got to be up here when he's ready. He looked good in his first rehab assignment. I think he's ready to come back up. The interesting thing is what does Alex and Walt do? Who goes down or who gets cut? Is it going to be, do they finally cut Aaron Bummer, or do they maybe send down Didier Fuentes because of he threw 50 pitches on Wednesday? He threw a lot in Colorado. Maybe he needs 5 to 7 days off his arm and kind of just relax. And then maybe when they bring him back up when they're ready, then maybe they go with Aaron Bummer, or someone else somehow gets injured or something. He's ready to go like right back in there. But I think Dylan Dodd is kind of a key bullpen arm that the Braves could be really counting on up until the rest of the year, but certainly the trade deadline. And I think he's can do everything ready to go that we need from a middle relief bullpen left-handed arm. But it'll be interesting to see. I'd love to see HSK and Dylan Dodd back up here because I think they give the Braves the best chance to win with them on the roster.
I do too. Mateo, I think if HSK comes up, Mateo may go on the IL, but we'll see how they decide that. I do believe they may wait off on Dodd, and I broke Ryan's heart on the Braves hip coil and the series recap. Most likely they would just send Fuentes down because, like you said, he ended up throwing like 101 pitches over the road trip so far. So Jim didn't let him rest a little bit. So that's a lot of pitches. So we'll see. As far as going into the series, what kind of hitters, who are the hitters you're looking to have a big series? Now, Ryan is all on Matt Olson. Matt has struggled in LA. And but this is the hottest we've ever seen Matt. We didn't get into it with CJ, but I've never seen Matt this confident. And I've seen Matt swing since he was 10 years old. And he's got that, like, I can't believe you got me out look, which is always a good look for a hitter. I went with Money Mike. I think Mike can have a big series. The Sasaki splitter does have concern, but Mike is taking pitches better than I've ever seen him take pitches. So that was kind of who we thought. And anybody else that you'd like to point out that you think might have a big series?
Yeah, I think Drake Baldwin's going to have a big series. I think this could be, he won the Rookie of the Year last year. There's no shortage about that. People know the name Drake Baldwin. But when they think about Drake Baldwin, I think he's going to put everybody on notice that he's the best catcher in baseball right now. I don't know what other catcher is playing and having a season like Drake Baldwin is right now. I think this is his coming out party for the rest of 2026. And hopefully this leads to maybe starting the All-Star game. If he keeps this up, he's already going to the game, but maybe get a chance to get enough votes to start the All-Star game. If I'm going to maybe go to a 1B, I think this guy's swings have looked a lot better over the last week and a half. I think Mike Yastrzemski is due for a really big series. And his swings have been looking a lot better. His exit velocity has been great. Hopefully one of these hard hit line drives maybe get caught up in the wind and get pushed over the wall for a couple home runs. But Drake Baldwin is my pick to click and my hitter to look out for this weekend.
That's a good one to pick. It's always a good one to pick. So is taking 2 out of 3 a must? I think some of our fans on social media think that we have to win this series to make a statement. I'll just let you my feedback on it. I don't think it really makes a hill of beans at the end of the day what you do in a May series. Other than the fact of I can see what you're saying, the Dodgers are this incredible machine that's won back-to-back world championships. It's a place that we've always struggled. I would say, like CJ says, if the games are really tight and we win, that's good. But if we lose, I think our players will take a lot out of it that they played with them. But what do you think? Do you think we need to take 2 out of 3? Is it kind of a must win series here?
I would say no, it's not a must win because, like you said, it's May and we still got a lot of season left. But if I'm going to say anything's a must this weekend, Friday night's a must win with your ace on the mound. You got the advantage offensively in that game, and on the mound you got the better bullpen right now. LA's bullpen is terrible. You got the far better starting pitcher. Friday night's a must win, but in my eyes. But I wouldn't say taking 2 out of 3 or sweeping's a must here exactly. But I think it's a big question mark and a really big confidence builder for the rest of the year. If you go into LA to take 2 out of 3 on a weekend series where a lot of eyes are going to be on you nationally and a lot of noise coming out of the ballpark. As so far, we are the best team in baseball. The Dodgers haven't lived up to it. It's our opportunity to go get a couple big victories. And our 3 best pitchers are on the mound. This is what we just faced in Seattle. Now we get to go do it to the Eagle Empire, and it's our time. it's our time to shine. It's our time to shine, like we kind of did in that 4-game series in 23, where he took 3 out of 4. Let's go take 2 out of 3 this time.
Yeah, I think it's actually kind of important. I don't know if it's a must, but I think it's something you really want to try to do, because actually the team that's the closest to having us the best records coming in this next week in Atlanta, and the Cubs are red hot, by the way. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I think that's the reason why it's pretty important. So with that said, what's your prediction on the series?
I do think we take 2 out of 3. I certainly, if I'm a betting man, which I don't, I would put the Braves to win on Friday night with Sale on the mound. I really like the matchup actually on Sunday. Bryce Elder's been pitching really well, and he's pitched pretty well against LA in the past. And I think he's going to get it done on Sunday, but I'm very intrigued and interested in seeing what Strider can do bouncing back from his start in Colorado. If he can give the team 5-6 innings and maybe 1-2 run ball that he gives up, I think we got a great shot of winning that game. And like I said, with LA's bullpen not being what it is, Diaz is down. He probably won't pitch for a while. We got an opportunity to really go in there and make a huge statement.
I agree. I think they're going to take 2 out of 3. Ryan thinks they're going to sweep.
Yeah.
So if they sweep, we're going to really feel good when Tuesday night shows up and the Cubs come to town. So that's what we have for the series. We do appreciate you joining in. We do appreciate CJ coming on the show. We're going to have more guests. We just had Brady Penn and CJ. Tons are lining up to jump in here, so we're looking forward to it. But real quick, Andrew is joined, and his partner Seth. Seth, anybody knows through the other podcast, was my usher for a while. And Andrew and Seth are Hot Atlanta highlights. So that's on Instagram, and we're going to do more. Andrew, you want to talk about that before we get out of here?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on to the Hardcore Braves team. Looking forward to it. Seth is excited as well. But we're looking to grow and collaborating with Hardcore Braves, doing a lot of kind of things and getting a lot of breakdowns down up on Instagram, hopefully in Twitter in the future. But growing on Instagram, bringing more Braves content to you guys, and really and growing as the season goes for the 2026 season and beyond.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun year. It's a good time to jump on. So you can find him. We're going to start trying to put we were asked, all of us going to start putting where you can find us at Hardcore Braves across of it. Like I said, it's Hot Atlanta Highlights on Instagram, and I'm encouraging Andrew and Seth to get out and put it on everything, and you'll be able to find that. Remember, at Braves Hip Coil, at Disgusting Homer 27 on X and YouTube and TikTok, at Weaver_cards, everything, all social media, at Aaron on Deck on TikTok and X, and at Lethal Platty on everything as well. We appreciate you. We love you, Braves country. And as always, go Braves and peace.
You know what, boys? You guys are going to be world champions for the rest of your life.